need to crack one. I'm like itching for one.
Yeah, pass one over this way.
And I'm gonna put in this nice new can koozie too.
Damn.
Let's go. This for Vyper Fest.
Next episode is going to have to entirely be on that. But
Yeah, I know.
special guest this episode.
We do have a special guest today. We have this awesome guy named Drake Ricke. So Drake, a little story behind him. He'll dive into it more. Drake was he was our first employee.
Yep.
He was our first employee on payroll at Vyper. And I didn't even know who Drake was, if I'm being honest, when we first hired him. Because you had a good relationship with my brother and my dad.
Yep,
and
yep.
they're like, we're at this point where we needed a welder. And then they're like, hey, we know Drake. He used to work at Rich Machine Design. And just kind of was like, all right, bring him on. So welcome, Drake, to the podcast.
Thank you for
man.
having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
First of the day.
Yeah, dude. It's
So
different.
good.
So, yeah, I just kind of want to dive in. We're kind of on a time crunch on this one, so I want to make it short, sweet, to the point of bringing on our first employee and kind of get it from your point of view also of coming on team with an organization that was just started.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of risky endeavor. So let me give you a little backstory first on where Drake came from, like how we brought him on board. Then you could tell a little bit about yourself, what you did before, and then we can bounce from there. So it was literally right when we moved in, like we talked about in the previous podcast, right when we moved into our first facility, and we're at a point where we needed to do welding in-house. And we had my dad, currently, he was retired, doing the welding for us. And it got to a point where he's like, this is too much for me, guys. You guys have to bring somebody else in because I don't want to weld when I'm retired. I want to be retired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I asked him and Dylan, my brother, okay, who could we bring on? Who can we at least work part-time because we can't afford a full-time person yet? And they're like, Drake. Drake is the best welder in Two Rivers. He teaches a lot of old guys how to weld. And they got that story about that one guy getting pissed off that you're a bit better welder than him.
Yeah.
But
Many.
he was a super talented, young, smart kid, and you were kind of job hopping at that point too. And I'm like, okay, cool, bring him in. Let's talk it over. And we talked for a little bit, and right away we had a connection. And it's like, hey man, you want to do part time? And we'll do $20 an hour. Or I think it was actually like 18 or something like that. It was low. And you're like, all right, cool.
So what year was this?
2018 or 19?
2020.
Was it?
Yep,
2020?
because a couple months will be like the first time I ever welded any parts.
Yeah, so 2020 he was doing
So-
backrests and rails.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we brought him on. It was a massive risk for us because we couldn't pay somebody $18 an hour, but we needed it welded, you know? And that actually was a big pushing point for us to want to bring more sales in. But we brought Drake on, and it was one of the best decisions we've made as an organization because Drake is an absolute stud. This kid's young, he's hungry, and he wants to absolutely dominate this world.
When did
Thank
you
you.
When did you
Appreciate
hear
that.
about Vyper? Or like how, I guess.
It was my last couple of weeks. I gave my notice at RMD, your father's company, and at the time he was still doing engineering there along with Dylan. He said, "Hey, I got this company. My sons and I are starting. I'm doing the welding. I don't really want to do it much anymore. If you're interested, I'll give you my number. Dylan could talk to you. We'll get in touch." And then slowly through the weeks went on. Got in touch. I went up to Chris's place a couple times, and then Dane and I met at the facility on the other side of Green Bay, a little 3,200 square foot facility, and
Dude,
plopped my welder down, a couple little plastic sawbucks, and
Yeah.
off to the races.
stories he has from like moving to Green Bay and biking like 18
Yeah.
miles to work is how far was it?
12 and a half one way.
Yeah.
So I put almost
On a bike.
3,000 miles on my 10-speed
Dude.
over that summer.
There were times when it was like pitch blackout, and you look at us. I'm like, dude, I could give you a ride home. You're like, yeah, but then I don't have a bike. I don't have a ride to work in the morning.
Yep.
And I'm gonna ride home. And it's like, all right, man. And you send me a picture at night. You're just drenched. But got home.
Hey, there was some nights I would check and it would be like a 32-minute window
Yeah.
of no rain in Green Bay. And I'm like, it's a 38-minute bike if I give it hell.
Yeah.
and I would make it there before the rain got me.
Yep.
Dude, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the start of it.
You
Went
did
through a
not
lot.
live close to that facility at all at the time.
No, complete opposite end of Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was. So you were at Rich Machine Design. Then where were you working? Because you didn't come full time until I think it was around like 2 months.
It was a bit actually.
Yeah.
So I was leaving RMD because I moved up here to Green Bay. Just living situations changed. Didn't want to do the commute anymore. I got a job at a local metal shop company here in Green Bay, doing some pretty high-end stainless TIG work, kind of nuclear, government, more side of things. And then we were doing part-time. Wasn't working out with Lindquist or my previous employer. So started picking up more part-time jobs, little side gigs. I was doing my own side welding for a while, and then started cooking at Stella's.
Yep.
So I was part-time, well, full-time at my main welding job, coming after work, doing a couple hours during the week,
Yep.
and then weekends doing Stella's cooking. And then I gave up the full-time to pursue another side welding gig just to pursue different options in life and figure out what I wanted.
Yeah.
And also in hopes that Vyper would become what it is today.
Yeah.
So even though it wasn't an easy option, what drew you towards like making that trip every day, like to Vyper? Like, was there something that you felt, or like was there a gut instinct that you had, or you just did it because it was the easiest thing? Or
I mean, probably a combination of all of them, just where I was in life. Just I was pretty young, both in age and mind. So I was just kind of doing whatever my heart desired at the time, jumping around in life. And then, I mean, day one being the first employee, it's just the vision of what it could be and being able to like build up something of your own within the company itself. So just, I mean, starting off as we brought in more parts and kind of started to bring more of the actual fabrication in-house, I was able to set my quality of standard and push that on and help inspire others as we grew the team.
Yeah, it was super cool. I mean, Drake became a brother throughout the entire time, like from the first time we met, and we just had that trust right off the get-go. And when you were coming in later to come weld for part-time, it didn't even cross my mind of the thought of not being there and you being there. It's like, I know he's getting stuff done because I walk in the morning and there's 20 backrests welded and rails welded ready to go. And like that trust continued to build over, like continual every single month over 3 years now. And it's been just awesome. Even to see like your personal growth, like you came, when we first brought you on board, you had a tough point in your life.
Yeah.
You know, seemed like you were confused, didn't really know what you wanted to do, where your life was going, and it was super cool to grow with you throughout the entire time. And,
Agreed.
It's just so cool to see who you've become today, and you took the advantage of us being a young company and seeing what it could be and putting the time and effort into it, not only at the beginning but still every single day, because now you're continuing to grow in the organization. Is the coolest thing to see.
Yeah, inside and out. And
Right.
like you said, being able to grow with each other, I think that's the biggest thing is, I mean, seeing the drive you've had from the start, just every day. I mean, he was pushing me to start working out from day one.
Yeah.
And even when we would see each other twice a week, maybe twice a month,
Yeah.
we were just always motivating, each
Absolutely.
other and just trying to build something out of it. So
Yeah. It was fun. It was a fun experience too, because it taught me a lot of the side of holding accountability, and I can't hold people accountable if I'm not holding myself accountable. And at that point, I was trying to find myself also. So before I could feel confident to say, hey, Drake, we need to do this, or I want to help you grow here, I had to have been doing that in my own life also. So that's things people don't see in the back end, but like that's the only way I can allow like personal development for each and every one of you guys and feel confident to push you guys, because I know that I'm doing everything I can do to level up also, and to level up with you alongside each and every one of you guys.
for sure. Yeah, we're all learning together.
Yeah.
So
But you came on. So coming on to the organization, I remember it was at a point too where you were working. Where were you at before you're at another welding position, and I remember you came to us and you asked us, all right, what are we gonna do here? Because at this point you're going double at 2 different positions. You're like, I'm kind of getting stressed out with how much work I'm doing. I need kind of a decision, and you laid it on us of like, okay, are you gonna bring me on full time, or I'm gonna either have to go full time here, because you were at a job during the day, coming to Vyper after, then you were cooking after that as well. Yeah. So I don't blame you for putting that on us, and it was at a point where we're like, okay, let's do it. Let's just go full time. Let's commit on this kid because he's willing to grow and he's like a phenomenal welder around here. Mm-hmm. So from your point of view, like how was that coming on to a new company, especially young, like being the first employee on it? You know, like where was your headspace at?
Sure. I mean, just we spoke about the vision of what it could be. You know, that's obviously in the forefront. But just being able to explore my craft and prove my worth and have it be recognized and listened to and heard. Being so young in the fabrication and manufacturing industry, it's not often that, you know, you're seen as experienced or whether you have the experience young or not, you know, tenure is usually what's seen. Mm-hmm. You know, how many years do you have? Whether it's good years or not, people look at that age and the amount of time you've been spending in the field, and they judge based off of that what you're capable of. And for me, the first time that I was able to, you know, really blossom in what I was doing was at Vyper. Mm-hmm. You know, you guys gave me the reins to take over everything we were doing fab and put my spin on it and take it to the next level. So
yeah, love that. And you guys, I pushed you and Levi hard to start your social medias, and because I saw the industry, the fabrication and welding industry, like you were saying, it's typically it's a lot of the older demographic, and there aren't really a lot of young welders that are as talented as you guys are on social media. Of course, there definitely are some, but there's the mass amount that are at an older age demographic. So you guys I saw you and Levi, your personalities, like how good you guys are on camera. You guys have to start promoting more on social media and get out there, because there's other young individuals that are welding also that need to feel inspired by somebody their age that they can relate to.
I'm actually curious because so you obviously now lead part of the team, and a lot of the guys back there are pretty young.
Yep.
You know, and I think we have some of the best, like, well-done products out there. You know, the rails and rods always look fantastic. How do you teach somebody, you know, like, you don't have the tenure, right? But you've clearly got the knowledge. How do you pass that down in a way that, like, keeps your standard?
I mean, I think Dane kind of just touched on it now, just being relatable and being able to just get along and have a good vibe together. That in itself does a ton for inspiration. You know, seeing someone that you can look up to doing well and then them wanting to push it onto you, you almost want to take it and grab it and not let it float away. So I think that goes a long way, as well as just, I mean, as the years have gone on and what we've built here, like you say, it's social medias. I mean, Levi's doing pretty darn good for himself on Instagram.
Yeah, sponsored by Fournier.
I think that's came and gone.
Oh, did it? Okay.
I mean, he's tight with a ton of big wigs in the fabrication industry, and he's got a lot of connections and made a lot of good friends through Instagram. So I think all of that, just seeing the success of everyone around here and showing that, you know, if you really put your mind to something and improve upon it day by day, I mean, you'll get there. So I think that's a big part of it, is just using what we've been able to accomplish as, you know, anyone can do this. So you're fully capable. It's whether you want it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, you and Levi especially are phenomenal teachers. Like, you can take somebody, a lot of the people we interview, not many of them actually know how to TIG. And that, especially with what we're welding, the stainless steel is difficult to weld.
For sure.
It takes a craft and art and practice and time. And how quickly you guys are able to take somebody that has very little skill on TIG, and within a month I'll go back there and check the welds that they're doing, and they're just as good as what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
It's
insane.
That's how you know it's quality,
insane.
when you can't spot the difference between two different welders doing the same job. Like,
and you guys are great. Like, so seeing somebody else that just started in a month, I would give it longer than that. It's probably like 2 months, 3 months to get up to what you guys are doing. But you walk back there and it's comparable to the quality of theirs, and that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Kale, for example, I think his 30 day is today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he's been here a month, and when he came in for his test, like you mentioned,
That's
he's
insane
never
already. That's 30 days.
Right.
Damn, I feel like
I
you
know.
just hired him.
yesterday.
That's insane.
But he never TIG welded before. So he had a MIG welding job just doing kind of basic jig welding stuff. And he never had TIG welded. And so in his interview and weld test, I gave him some pointers, ran a couple demo welds. He gave it a shot. But I mean, he's a natural, and he's taken every bit of advice that Levi's given him in the training process.
Yeah.
He's been asking around. Mitchell's been helping out. It's just a good atmosphere, and he's laying stuff, like you said, it's only a month in, and he's laying welds comparable to some of the ones that
Seriously.
2-year vets are putting down. So
It's awesome. And that, from an organization standpoint too, the level of craft and the ability that you guys are able to teach other people helps our decision making so much, especially in the interview process. It relieves the pressure because it's, like I said, it's difficult to find very well TIG welders in this area, and especially that fits our group, our demographic, our culture, and knowing that if we bring somebody in and all they know is MIG, that there's no doubt
They're
Ricke
gonna learn
I
it.
can teach
Yeah.
them
Oh,
how
yeah.
to be the best TIG welder.
For sure.
Just like, from your standpoint, that helps us a ton on our end for decision making. Of okay, I don't care if you just learn how to TIG or even just learn how to MIG. The guys back there will teach you. So if you're an outside welder right now in the Green Bay, Wisconsin area, and you want to become better, like I would come join our team because the shit you can learn here, man, you won't learn anywhere else, and especially in the timeline that you learn it also.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
incredible.
for sure. I mean, and there's a whole fabrication process on the backside outside of just welding. You know, we do all of our production in house in terms of the metal fabrication. So there's a lot of crafts that go into it outside of welding, whether that's polishing or just general. I mean, clean machinery usage and work, all that, you know.
Right.
We push each other, and whenever someone surpasses the level of someone else in the room, it's like fuel.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll lay one better than that.
Yeah.
And then I'll lay one better than that. So it's never a competition. It is, but a constructive competition. We're always trying to push each other.
Right.
So, with that being said, how do you feel like your job from beginning to now has evolved? And are you like what's most exciting about at Vyper as we continue to grow?
I mean, it's constant but change. We always have change going on here. We're always growing at an insane rate, so there's never anything that's getting old, so to speak. It's always new, whether it's machinery coming in, personnel.
100% true. Yeah.
That's crazy.
We rearrange a shop every 3 months, you know. So I think just it's super nice to come in and keep it fresh. And I think what's changed since the start is just the management side of things, you know, growing into the fabrication manager position rather than just being the welder. Been taking on more responsibilities of just holding myself accountable, like Dane mentioned, as well as the more back end kind of things, seeing how we can overall, you know, promote growth within the department to benefit Vyper and everyone within that department. How can we push everyone to be better, whether that's in the work they're doing, the life they live outside of here, all that. I think it's developed into more of a kind of inspirational leadership position, more so than just coming in and getting parts welded.
Yeah. I want to touch on that a little bit of, you started off as just obviously the only welder and continued your craft and continued to push yourself to new limits, especially with everything that you had going on at home. There's a lot which I want to touch on also of the last 3 years, and even before that, you went through a lot of shit and the challenges that you faced, but also use that as energy to help push your growth and momentum here at Vyper, which now Drake is the welding and fabrication manager. Manage a team of, is it seven?
Seven now. We got a couple guys starting soon, so we've been growing.
7 to 10 within the next month, I would say.
Yep.
And you are 23.
Just
23
turned.
That's a
years old.
lot in 2-3 years.
Right.
Like a lot.
It's crazy.
So 23-year-old, and you're managing about 10 people in a large organization. That's a lot, and there's a lot of stress on that aspect. So how did you overcome or push yourself, especially through everything that you kind of went through, which I want you to touch base on, to get to where you are right now?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I've had hardships growing up, not the greatest, family environment and culture, stuff going on with parents, siblings, whatnot. So early on, just in high school, always gravitated towards work. And, at the time being young, it was probably a negative thing, just pushing off what I needed to process and just working through it, always keeping busy. So I think that kind of helped me develop a go-getter mindset because I was, in a sense, running from my problems that I needed to deal with. So always working, always pushing for more.
Right.
And I think, as the years have gone on and as we've grown together, been able to translate that into a motivational, perspective.
Like, so you're not working to feel that fire, to feel that, like, regret or, like I guess I don't know what I would call it, but rather you're feeling it with, like...
It's kind of what we talk about all the time on, like, the training and development on Monday mornings of taking all the energy that you have, whether it be good or bad. I'm a massive advocate of negative energy or bad shit that's going on in your life is the most powerful energy, even more than when good things happen. It's easy to work out and to eat healthy when things are going good. What's hard is when things are going terribly to use that energy and to grow in those areas.
Yeah.
Then you start to see when things start to go good again, you look back at the previous point when it was good, like, holy shit, I'm miles ahead of where I was. And that is going to continue year after year, month after month after month till you're
I'm curious,
80,
because I like bare in my soul. Like, I went through some stuff that wasn't so easy lately, and like I always felt like I was doing well, and then like it sort of opens your eyes to the opportunity that, like, okay, there's actually something else I can be doing right now, like that's more, or that will get me to the next level. Like, how do you maintain that mindset or like that outlet, like after times become good? After things like fall back into a routine and like, like we all get so used to like our day to day. How do you?
It's complacency, and no matter how good you are, you always fall into it. And will contest. I was in it like probably the last month where things just you're not pushing yourself to the limits you could be doing. You stop doing the things that you used to be doing because you're comfortable where you're at. It's comfortable. Your bed's nice and warm at 4:30 in the morning. You don't have to work out. You feel good right now. Or you worked out last month. You don't have to work out this month. So it's like it's literally a trigger in your head where you have to push yourself beyond the limits. And when you're tired, know that everyone is tired and that there is a gym full of people right now getting after it and you're not. Or there is somebody working later at night and you are not.
So I think even if you don't slip, like how do you recognize that you can do more, like without realizing that you're doing less? Like,
so you want to know what you do is you throw a massive festival like Vyper Fest. So to give you an example, we were
that's certainly a way to do it.
You have to
Good transition.
you have to shake your life up. Like you have to. So I want to massive plug to Erwin McManus. Everybody, that's who I've been sending you lately. My gosh, is this dude powerful? And his words of wisdom helped me through some of the hardest times. And he says, one thing that I say every single morning now is I want to live a life so big that if God doesn't get me, I'm dead. Or if God isn't there with me, I'm dead. And that's what I want to do. I want to live like every single day. I want to push to that next level, take massive calculated risks, and do everything we possibly can because that's that adventure point. So you were just saying before is it's constantly changing. That's because we're always doing new things. We're not getting complacent. We have one machine out there. We need two because we can cut costs on this one. Is it going to work out? I don't know. Like that's the thing is I think everybody. I don't want to say everybody. I think a large number of people will not do things because they're scared of what it could be, and that's where they don't have the faith. You have to have the faith. You have to have the trust. Like you have to know that God has you, and everything is going to be fine. It always is. Look at what you came through. Look at everything you went through right now and some of the hardest times.
Yep.
In those times, I bet you're like, I will never make it through this.
Oh, 100%.
Look at you did.
Most of the time.
Now look at where you are.
And then like it's at the moment that you get past it that you realize like, wow, I was making that out to be more than what it ever was.
Dude,
Right.
every single time.
You get through it and you're like, why was I
Why was I
focusing?
worrying?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I just needed to keep going.
Exactly.
Like Mike says, just keep going.
Exactly.
And I think that holds a ton of value, and using that to like build yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So like that plays into a lot of what I was doing as we were, growing, was I realized, okay, I'm sick of living in this misery, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using this energy to do good, but it's not in the right aspects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm progressing in my career, but that's my hyper focus.
Right.
I have nothing else, no other paths in my mind, no balance going on. So I think that was a big part of growing into the position, as well as just outside of work and outside of Vyper, alongside Vyper, was learning to use that energy not just for growth in one aspect, but a good balance, and figuring out where you need to devote that energy to in order to build.
See, and I think the more times you go through bad scenarios or things that you think are bad, the easier it becomes in the future when you go through a scenario like that. So like what you just went through, I knew everything was going to be fine. And I'm not going to say I'm glad it happened, but dude, you were so much stronger after it happened than you were even before it happened.
Yeah,
So
it's weird because I think every time you like fall down, or every time you get knocked down, like there is an opportunity to like get back up. And fucking Vyper has been the place where like I've talked to so many people here about it, and like just got back from Colorado, and Alex and I talked for ages while climbing a mountain, and like I've never felt more supported, and like I don't know if I would have ever experienced this if I hadn't gone through the shit that I went through. So it's like,
yeah, dude. Alex is a guy to go to too. Like,
yeah,
the dude is extremely knowledgeable, and like he's got some great life advice too. He's been through some shit, and like he's got some good feedback to offer.
Yeah.
So that trip that you guys took, I'm so glad you guys took that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you guys needed.
It was.
Honestly, like overcoming the bad situations in your life, Alex did a phenomenal job, did and is doing a phenomenal job of this also. He was going through some shit for the last year and a half, 2 years, and instead of allowing that to overcome his life, he's going to say he made a massive pivot and was like, I'm not going to let this control my life. Instead, I'm going to use this to become the best father I possibly can, to become the best worker at Vyper I possibly can, to grow Vyper to that next level, to grow myself to that next level. Like that, what he did encouraged me and Dylan to continue to advance. So you start to see that it's a massive snowball effect. When I see you doing better, that encourages me to do better. When I do better, maybe it encourages Drake to do better.
Yeah.
It's a constant cycle. So whenever you're going through some hardship, man, join the club. Everybody goes through it. It's just life, and it's never going to stop, no matter how successful.
And you shouldn't fucking want it to stop.
You shouldn't want it to stop, because
it means you're fucking dead.
it's an opportunity. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
or you're
just
not growing.
Just have, all I can say on that is be faithful and have trust. And it's okay to feel depressed in those times, but don't let it consume your life. You have to continue to move on and use that energy towards something that is going to continue to advance you. Plain and simple. Take massive risks. Do it. Whether you're in an organization or not. Like, if you're in an organization, do something different and see if it works out. Maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But like maybe it will.
More than likely it might not. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it will. Like, that's the thing, is we want to allow you guys to take massive risks in here and try new things. Do I know if it's going to work? Hell no, I have no idea. I hope it does.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's only one way to find out, right? So one thing, real quick on a side tangent, I don't like to get like religious on it, but okay, you go back to the story of David and Goliath, when David uses a slingshot to kill Goliath, okay? You know why that worked?
Because he left the armor?
Exactly. He dropped the armor, but everybody else was doing the same thing over and over, trying to attack with the same strategy, using more armor, using bigger swords. But Goliath is a monster, and he dominated everybody. So he's like, I'm not going to do what everybody else has been doing. And if you look at that from the same standpoint of what we're currently doing with Vyper, is we're different than everybody else. I don't want to be the same that every other company is doing. I don't want you guys to be doing the same things that every other employees at organizations are doing. I want you guys to try new things. Drop your armor and pick up the freaking slingshot. Try it. You know, that's the only way we're going to continue to advance to where people look at us as a notable brand in overseas. And like, how the hell did you guys do it? We just did it differently.
Mm-hmm.
We did it differently.
We just tried different stuff.
We tried different shit.
And a lot of it didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of it didn't work.
The nine of the 10 things failed, but that one, it got us a little further ahead.
Yeah.
You know?
If you never do, you'll never know, right?
Exactly.
Been hearing that one since day one.
Right.
Had that posted up on a whiteboard in the old shop.
Yeah, man.
If you never do, you'll never know.
I think that's actually the background of my lock screen right now. Hold on. Give me one sec. Yeah, let me.
That's a Dano quote right there.
Okay, here's what it is. What are you doing? What are you going to do when 1,000 other people want what you want? Which is, it's the same thing, right? Like, what are you going to do differently?
Right.
Like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just the mentality I always have. If I'd be lying to you if I said this Vyperfest thing wasn't the most anxious, worrisome thing after we did it. It's like, damn, did we bite off more than we could chew? And it's like, maybe, but now we're in it. There's no going back now. You
Just
can't
gotta
cancel. So
embrace
it's
it.
like, okay, now what can we do to make this thing as big as we possibly can? Will it flop? I don't know. But it'd be a hell of a party for everyone here.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Like, at a story we could go down with. But that's what I think. I don't think people are living adventurous enough. I think people get complacent with their lives. They do the same things. They meet with the same people. And that is okay if you're in grind mode. But also, even if you're in grind mode, switch it up every now and then. Go to a different restaurant. Go to a different gym. Go do different workouts. Try different foods. Like, you have to switch up your life and do things adventurous in order to have that creativity and growth and not getting complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard this analogy, and I like to think about it and use it, but it's like snowboarding. You know, powder lays down, everyone's carving the snow, and there's all these lines that get made. And no matter how much you try to start a new line, eventually halfway down the mountain you find yourself in someone's old line, right? And until there's fresh powder laid down on the slopes, until you can carve a new line. So you have to be able to see that and lay your own fresh powder to allow yourself to carve your own new line. Otherwise, you're just going to keep falling into the same old stuff.
Right.
So take a weekend and go to Colorado.
Yeah.
Or go up north and go backpacking.
Dude, yes, absolutely.
Get something outside of the norm, and it opens your mind up, and you can blow up your creativity with it, too.
100%.
So that Erwin McManus thing that you sent me, I was listening to it again this morning, and he said, like, dude, if you're eating at the same restaurants, if you're like going to the same place, if you make yourself coffee every morning, like get out of a routine a little bit. Like, switch it up. Try a restaurant you wouldn't have eaten at before. Like, find that new creativity, that like something that's going to spark it. Like, I've never gone rock climbing before, and Alex and I went while we were in Colorado.
Right.
Fucking love it. Like,
So that is one thing I want to say is I'm just kind of a lot of the stuff I'm saying right now I'm regurgitating from that earlier. So if you want,
but it's fucking good.
It is so good, and I can't get it out of my head, and I live by it ever since I heard that. Go to Erwin McManus. It's Mosaic, and then it's How to Explode Your Creativity or something like that. It's 45 minutes long. Listen to it. It is amazing. It'll open your mind. So he gives a scenario. He's talking with this business owner, this successful business owner, and he comes to him. He's like, I feel like I'm not creative anymore. I'm not having the marketing ideas that I used to. And Erwin's like, okay, where do you work every day? He's like, at home. He's like, okay, where do you eat every day? Well, I just eat at home. He's like, okay, where do you go for coffee? Same spot. He's like, I make it at home myself. He's like, okay, so you work at home, you jump out of bed, you work at home, you eat the same food, drink the same coffee. He's like, that's a boring life. Do something different. Go into the office.
It's so weird.
Go to a different cafe. Eat somewhere. It's little things like that to switch your life up to make it more like to help you more adventurous, to be more creative.
It's so weird because I've heard that before, but I actually used to do this thing when I worked at the news station. I hated my fucking job. Like, it was one of the worst things I've ever done. And so on my way home, it was a straight shot. You just take like one road. I drove back to my parents' place because I lived with them at the time. And like, I would just start taking side roads because I was like, I don't know any of these fucking streets. Like, so I would just take a random left turn, and it would be an extra quarter mile to an extra half mile out of my way, and I would just start driving them because there was nothing else I looked forward to in my day. And like, I put on some music or listen to a podcast, and I would just take a different road home because I wanted something new. Yeah, and exactly. I guess it never clicked in my head until like I listened to it again. But like, if you want to be creative or like do something different, you have to like
You have to see
change.
different
Yeah.
things.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so if you ever are presented an opportunity or want to try something new, ask yourself this: why not? So when we did the day after we locked down the band, I went home. It was like, band says yes, we're coming. I'm on cloud 9. I'm pumped. Then the drive home came and reality hit of like, holy shit, this is a lot. Did we just? What if no one shows up? What if the band sucks? What if and this pile of what ifs just surrounded me. The next morning I woke up and I'm like, in my head I'm like, did we do the right thing? Did we do the right thing? Like, should we cancel? And there's this blue Corvette C8 and it's got blacked out windows. You cannot see in it. And it was the craziest thing is I'm driving and I see it and like I'm not trying to catch up to it, but I eventually get to it.
That doesn't surprise me.
And I see the license plate. It says, why not? And it turns off literally right when I'm side by side with it.
Damn.
It turns off. And I'm like, dude, let's do it. Why not?
Dude,
Like,
it's
why not?
so weird. Those little coincidences pop up more than you
Seriously.
like might ever imagine, but you just have to like look for them.
The license plate
It's
says,
the law
why
of
not,
attraction.
dude?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's insane. So right there, it's like, okay, that was a sign to me of it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay, as it
Yeah.
always is. I look at where we are right now with Vyper and some of the struggles we went through coming up. In those moments, Dylan and I will look at each other like, are we gonna make it through this? And a lot of times it's like, I don't know. I don't know if we are. But did we?
Yes, we did.
Yes. A walk order came through. A military order came through. We just have to stay faithful and trust that everything is going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to have things that are going to continue to get you out of tough times, you have to continue to put the work in every single day. You cannot lay around and expect things to happen or things to fall in properly. Like it's a two-way street. You know, you want things to go good for you, you have to put the time in.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over and over. Not just for a week, not just for a month, every freaking day.
The person you see
Literally.
driving the C8 with tinted windows with a custom license plate
Right.
did not get lucky.
No. He did it over and over for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Yes.
Over and over again. And he got kicked in the nuts every single day, but he just kept going.
He's got the cup.
Literally.
Yeah.
So people just give up too quickly. When the going gets tough, you just have to keep going. That's it. So that's my answer to your question of how do you not get complacent. Keep going. Have trust. Try new things. Be adventurous. Take massive risks.
Take on more than you can chew.
More than you can
Yeah.
chew. More than you can chew.
Just start chewing.
Just go. Just
Yeah,
start
just
chewing.
start
man.
chewing.
Just start chewing.
Start chewing. So, yeah, I mean, that was a little side-winded thing. Drake, it's been awesome to see how much you've grown in the last 3 years, especially seeing where you came from and all the one-on-ones we've had and personal development we've had. I don't think I've ever told you, you've pushed me a lot to continue to want to grow and become a better person, become a better manager, after seeing you take what I've said and make yourself better also. Like having you on the team, and especially your trust in us at the early point when we were nothing. It was a small little shop, and you had that trust in us. You saw the vision that we saw, and like I just thank you for that, and I appreciate that. And,
For sure.
Like I want to continue to see you grow every single day here, and continue to grow from well manager to who even knows what.
Yeah,
Like,
wherever
The
it
sky's
takes
the limit
us.
at this point. You know, maybe there might be a well team of 100. I hope a well fab team of 100.
That'd be sick.
You know? So
That'd be really sick.
That'd be really cool.
it's
We'd
not
be
that
so
far off,
capable.
but-
it isn't. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for this organization, and even just done personally. Like I love having you as a brother, and dude, super excited to continue to see you grow.
You're welcome, and thank you guys for everything that we've been doing here.
Yeah, man.
I know I kind of laugh in my head when you're like, oh, and we were nothing. But like, it literally all comes back to perspective. Because like at that point, coming on part-time on the books and then immediately into full-time,
Yeah.
like that was everything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't nothing.
True.
So
it was cool. It was like still I go back to that moment of that landlord saying, "Oh, you guys are selling chairs. We'll go month to month. We'll just go month to month."
Fuck you.
Yeah, dude. Whatever. But yeah, man. Thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, man. This is awesome. Cheers, bro.
Cheers again.
Cheers, guys.
And for anyone
To
listening,
Wednesday.
we are having a massive festival called Vyper Fest. We will have a car show starting at 10 a.m. We have the road closed, so cars will be in the road. We'll have local food trucks there. We'll have beverages served by Black Saddle Saloon here.
They don't do hair, they do drinks. Yeah.
Here at Green Bay. We will be having private welding classes and private detailing classes. So the detailing classes are sponsored and held by Adams Polishes. They're going to go over how to wash a car, how to dry a car, how to polish a car, and how to ceramic coat a car.
Nice.
The welding is still being put in place, but we have some exciting news coming soon on that aspect. Don't want to miss out on these private classes. On top of that, we'll be having a burnout pit that is open to the public as well, along with local bands. Smoke Road is an awesome upcoming band here in Wisconsin. And most notably, we will be having a national performance our last night. These guys are blowing up. Over 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube. They're crushing it. They are coming here to the Green Bay. They won't be coming back for a couple years. So don't miss your chance to come and see these guys. It's going to be an awesome event, an awesome performance. Vyper Fest, September 30th, starts at 10 a.m. Tickets are available. Should be available when this podcast launches. So go to vyperfest.com. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's it. We're
Thank
all
you.
done.
Go weld some shit.